treasure bag again, try to finish up some projects, and finish up with the bag. So this is 2 necklaces that I'm going to show you how to make with the stuff in the treasure bag. Of course, these are basic techniques, and you can do this with anything you have in your stash. It's just a jumping off point so that you can use it as inspiration or whatever you would like. If you have the bag, of course, you can do the exact same projects. Otherwise, especially this necklace here, you could use almost any type of bead you want. As long as you have 2 colors, you get the same basic effect. This one, just use the same techniques and you'll end up with the same type of look. So let's go ahead and get started with the first project. Okay, for this project, we're going to be using several things from the Shiny New Year treasure bag. We're going to be using these large rondelle beads that are half rainbow plated. You have 10 of them, we'll be using 9 of them. Then we're going to use all 3 of these little heart-shaped, supposedly heart-shaped, they're not really all that heart-shaped, but these are called heart-shaped crystals. So we're going to be using all 3 of those that came in the treasure bag. We're going to be using one of the Chinese knot links and one of the clasps. Now, I don't know how many projects you've made and haven't made, so if you don't have any of your clasps left, just use something you have. It doesn't matter, you can use any type of clasp for this project. We're also going to be using 2 pieces of the chain that came in the bag. However, if you are also out of chain, you can use any chain you want. I've cut mine exactly 4.5 inches long, and I've cut 2 segments. Now, if you want a longer necklace than I make, then you're going to cut longer pieces. Or, of course, if you want shorter, cut shorter. My necklace will end up to be exactly 18 inches long. Then we're going to be using some of the bead caps that came in your treasure bag. We're going to use some of the 4mm round clear electroplated glass beads. We are also going to be adding to the treasure bag, we're going to be using some 8/0 seed beads. This is a nickel plate. I'm just using them as a spacer bead. You can use anything you want as a spacer bead. And then I'm adding some 4mm round jump rings. You can use the ones that came in the bag, but they're 6mm, and I just felt as if I needed a smaller one, so I'm using some 4mm jump rings. Also adding to the treasure bag, I'm going to be using some head pins, and this is just a regular head pin. You can also use one eye pin if you'd like, or like I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn one of these into an eye pin so that they all match. Then I am going to be using some size 2 crimp beads. This is a beadalon, and it's a size 2 and it's silver tone. And I'm going to be using some 49 strand beadalon. You can use soft flex. You can use whatever you like. This is a pretty fine, it's a little bit finer than medium soft flex. So it works out really well for this necklace. You can use whatever beading wire you have on hand. Then, of course, you're going to need some tools. You'll need a flat nose, a round nose, and a chain nose, and a wire end trimmer, or end cutter, whatever you want to call it. Flush cutter. There you go. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with this project. Okay, for this project, we're going to start by making 3 components with the little supposedly heart-shaped beads here. So I have a head pin. I'm going to first pick up a 8/0 seed bead and put it on my head pin, and then I'm going to put on one of my bead caps. We're using an 8/0 to make sure that the head pin doesn't fall through the bead cap, because the bead cap has a little bit of a larger hole. Then I'm going to pick up my heart-shaped bead here, and I'm going to put the fat side down, make it more like a fat teardrop, because it's not really heart-shaped anyway. So I'm going to drop it down like that, and then I'm going to pick up a bead cap. Now I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. I'm going to place them directly above the beads, right above the bead cap there, holding everything tight and together and steady. And then I'm going to hold my pliers horizontal to and parallel to the bead mat like this. And then I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to bend it back towards the back part of the plier here. Then I'm going to turn my wrist and the plier vertical into that bend. And then I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to bring it over the top of the plier. And then as I do that, I'm going to turn my wrist and my plier horizontal and bring the extra wire underneath the pliers so that I form a loop like this. Then I'm going to grab my flat nose or chain nose pliers, one of the two. I'm going to grab a hold of this loop, just like that. I'm going to bring that wire up so that it's very parallel to the pliers, like this, straight across the same way the pliers are. And then I'm just going to start to bend this wire very slowly and very gently with my fingers. You can use a plier too. And I'm just going to wrap around the neck of that wire. And I'm just going to do it like 3 times to where it's nice and tight, but it's not so tight that it's going to break my beads. Just a nice wrap like that. Then I'm going to straighten out my loop a little. I'm going to grab my cutters and I'm going to get as close as I can and just cut that off. Let's see if I can get a little closer than that. Come on. There we go. And then all my cutters are dull and messed up, but you know, I'm just going to tuck that in and then straighten out my loop. And that's what I have, a little unit just like that. Then we are going to make a unit with this bead. Okay, so after you have made your 3 components with your clear crystal beads, then we're going to make one with the big rondelle. So we're going to grab one of our head pins and I'm going to turn it into an eye pin. So I'm just going to cut the very end of this head off of my head pin. And then once I've done that, then I'm just going to grab my flat nose pliers. I'm going to go a little bit down the wire here. I'm going to use the length of my flat nose to kind of measure and then leave myself about 2 to 3 millimeters sticking out here. And then I'm just going to roll that over. So I have an L shape like this. I'm going to place that bent part over my finger. And I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. And then I am going to place it at the very end of that wire. Just a little ways down my pliers. Oops. And slip. And then begin to roll. I want to try to get as far to the end as I can and then just begin to roll. When I've rolled as far as I can, I'm just going to bring my wrist forward, my hand forward a little bit, give myself some more room and roll again. And then do that one more time. So I'm just rolling a loop like that. Then I'm going to grab a 8/0 seed bead and a bead cap and my big rondelle. And then I'm going to grab another bead cap, come here, and another 8/0, just like this. And then I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers again. And I'm going to get as close as I can to that 8/0, but then move my pliers up a little bit. So I don't want a big space in between there, but I want enough to bend my wire because I want this to be a tight loop against everything. So I'm going to move that to where I can get a bend right above that 8/0 and hold it into place somewhat. And then I'm going to place this over my finger and I'm going to grab my cutters and I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch right there and cut that off. And then I'm holding on to the bottom loop here so I can keep everything steady. And I'm just going to grab my cutter, or my round nose pliers, excuse me, and place it on the end of that wire and begin to roll. And do the same thing I did before. Just continue to roll, just inch back your plier and roll. And then on this side, you'll probably have to go towards the front and close it. is you want this to be nice and tight so the beads don't move around. So you want a nice tight loop. Now I wasn't paying attention to the way my loops were positioned, so now I need to take 2 of my pliers and straighten them out. So I'll put my flat nose there, my chain nose there, and just turn until my loops are facing the same direction, like this. Then I can just straighten them out a little bit. This side needs to be closed a little more, so I can just kind of shimmy that in there and close it. And that is the component you will have. So you will have like this. Then we're going to grab our Chinese knot. Now it's smooth on one side and textured on the other. I'm going to use the smoothed side here, and I'm going to grab some little jump rings. So I've got my 4mm jump rings, and how I'm going to attach this is I will have one of these on the very bottom, this one in the middle, and then these 2 on the big loops like this. That's how we're going to arrange that. So first, let's attach this one to this one. So I'm going to pick up one of my jump rings, find the opening. My opening's right here. I'm going to grab my flat nose, and I'm just going to twist this open like this and put it on both of the beads like that and close it. See if I actually got that closed. I think so. So that's what that will look like. And then I'm going to grab another jump ring, find the opening, and open it again. Put it on the top component here, slide it on the very bottom loop of my knot link. Arrange it so I can actually close it and then close the jump ring. Now, as you put this on, because this is so skinny and these are so fat, it's going to kind of argue with you a little bit. As we do the top and string it, it'll kind of even out because the fat beads will be on top too. I'm going to grab another jump ring, open it, and then put one of my clear components on this fat side here. Close that jump ring. Back off just a little bit here. And then I have that so far. Now I need to grab another one of my jump rings and put the other one on. And put it on this side and close it. And there's my focal. So now, let me turn it over here. Now we're going to attach our beaded portion on either side of these 2 links, and we're just going to leave this link alone here. So we're going to get out our wire, and we'll be right back. So I have cut 2 6-inch pieces of my beading wire, and I have 2 crimp tubes out. I'm going to move 2 of these to the side here, and I'm going to connect one side first. So I'm going to put my tube, my crimp tube, onto my wire. Then I'm going to slide it through my component and bend it over, and then just slide my crimp tube down over the 2 ends here. And slide it down. I don't want a big loop, but I do want movement, so I'm going to make just a small loop around my component. Then I'm going to make sure my wires are laying side by side, and I am going to try to place my crimping tool, which I forgot to tell you we'll need, but we'll need a crimping tool, and just separate them a little bit so you can see they're kind of laying side to side. I'm going to grab my crimping tool. When you're putting it on a component, it likes to twist and do all kinds of weird stuff. So I'm going to try to place it in that second groove in my crimping tool, so the one closest to the handles, and I'm going to try to place it where I think that the two wires are next to each other. So I'm going to try to center the groove into the middle of the crimp tube and then just squeeze. And see, you can see my crimp here. It's not perfectly, both the wires aren't perfectly encased, but it's pretty good. Then, so I used that first groove there. Now I'm going to use this groove towards the front. I'm going to place this crimp tube in here sideways so you can see that I have those two little tubes that were formed touching either side of my crimping tool, and I'm going to squeeze. And then I'm just going to, because you'll see this, I'm just going to kind of go around it in this round divot and just make it nice and smooth, tight, and pretty, just like that. And then I'm going to cut this extra tail down. I'm going to get my scissors so I can get really close, and I'm going to cut this down. Like that. Now I can start beading now that your wire is attached with your crimp tube. You're going to grab an 8/0 seed bead and drop it down. And make sure that that 8/0 goes over that little tiny bit of tail, because I don't care how close you cut it, you're just not going to get it. It's going to be in the way. So just make sure it goes over it. There's always a little bit of a tag that's in the way. And so I pushed that 8/0 seed bead down over that little tag, and then I'm going to grab one of my bead caps, put it on, and then I'm going to grab one of my rondelles. Just make sure your bead cap is in the proper position, and then pick up another bead cap. And what I mean by proper position is that the open part is towards the bead. And then we're going to pick up another 8/0 seed bead. And then we're going to pick up a 4mm round and an 8/0 seed bead, and then a bead cap, and then a rondelle, and a bead cap. And we're going to continue doing this until we have 4 rondelles with the 8/0 4mm round 8/0 in between. So continue doing that until we have all 4 of them. And we'll be back. So now you can see I've put on all 4 of my rondelles, and I've ended with the bead cap 8/0 4mm round 8/0 series at the very end here. Now we're going to get in close here, and we're going to pick up a crimp tube. Then we're going to grab our chain. Make sure that the last link on your chain is closed tightly, and then just put your beading wire through that link. Drop it down, and then go back through the crimp tube with your beading wire into the 8/0 and the 4mm round. Now, as we do this, we want to make sure this end is nice and tight too. It doesn't have a big bunch of beading wire showing here. And then we're going to take the stable end, we're going to put our thumb on it and pull the movable end until we have the wire positioned around the loop of the chain with still some movement, but not a big loop. So let me get you close so you can see. That's what that looks like. Now, when we want to crimp this, we're going to imagine inside that crimp tube where the center of the two wires are right here. I'm laying it horizontal, so the loop is horizontal to the bead mat. Then I can bring in my crimping pliers, and in the second divot, the one closest to the handle, I will slide this on where I can imagine that those two wires are in the middle of the two wires, basically, and then just squeeze. Then I can turn this over and see that I have encased both of those wires in the little tubes that are created when you do your first crimp. And then we're going to take the first divot on the crimping pliers here, and we're going to put it sideways and squeeze, so that those two little tubes that you formed are touching the pliers, and then I'm just doctoring it up a little, like that. Now I have a nice little crimp. Now, one thing I want to mention about crimping tools, a lot of people are having really issues with crimping. I bought some really cheap crimp pliers. I was going to make a kit for somebody, and I bought some cheap ones, and I tried them. They do not work. So I think that a lot of the issues are more with the tool and with the quality of crimp bead than anything else. So you want a nice crimp tube, which I always use Beadle on. Beadsmith work pretty well too. And you want Beadsmith crimping tool. This works beautifully. I got something that looked very similar, almost the same as this, but it does not work. So let me show you them. So you want to make sure that you have a really nice crimping tool. Don't buy a really cheap one. I'm trying to find the cheap ones. Here's a cheap one. Now it looks kind of like this one. However, you can see it's got this weird little thing in the middle. This does not crimp a crimp tube. I don't care how hard I try. Maybe if I used a size 4 or something huge, but it does not work. So it's not you. It's either the tool, the crimp tube itself. So you want a nice crimp tube and you want a nice crimp tool. Just, I know it's a bunch of talking, but that's going to help you tremendously if you're having problems crimping. Now I'm going to cut this wire really close to this bead and back off and show you what I have here, and we'll put one end of our so this is what I have now, and I'm going to just open one of my links here and slide on my end, my clasp. So let me grab, where is it? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of these links, and I'm just going to open it. You can do it with a jump ring too if you'd like, but I'm just going to slide this on here like that and close it again. And now one end of my necklace is complete. So you want to do the other end exactly the same way. Do exactly every process we just did. Put on your crimp tube and your beading wire, bead it, and then put on your chain on the other side and your clasp. And we'll be back to see the finished product. And this, my friends, is what you have. So let's get you in a little closer this way so you can see the actual pretty portion here. If my camera will cooperate with me. Right there. So that's what that looks like. Now it seems like your little Chinese knot is going to hang really weird because of the size of the beads, but when you put this on your neck, it works perfectly. It looks great. Laying down flat, it's a little awkward, but it's really very pretty on the neck. And I think that that turned out really pretty. Okay, for this next project, you have in your treasure bag a whole bunch of dangle beads. Now, I did do a design that I only used like 8 of these dangles or something. So you should still have plenty unless you've done something else. And you can always blend other beads in with this design if you'd like. If you don't have the treasure bag, use whatever you have on hand. Round beads, oval beads, anything will work. Bicones will work. You just need a whole bunch of them. So I'm going to use the black rainbow plated drops and the clear drops that came in the treasure bag. and the chain that came in the treasure bag. Now, if you're getting low on chain, you can use any chain that you have that has big enough loops on them, big enough links to actually put a couple of jump rings through each link. So you can use whatever chain you'd like. If you don't have the treasure bag, same thing applies. So I have cut 2 pieces 9 inches long of the chain, making sure that I have the same amount of links on both pieces. So you have 2 pieces of that. And then I have 1 piece that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 19 links on it. So 19, 20, something like that, depending upon how long you want your focal piece to be. So 1 piece, about 19 links, 2 pieces about 9 inches long, a clasp, and then 1 of the 6mm round jump rings that are in your bag, and your drops. Then we're going to add to the treasure bag. I've decided I wanted to use a smaller jump ring, and I wish I had a 3mm. I don't. I have 4mm. And I just bought a big package of them from Michael's, this package, and I emptied it. So I have them all right here. And so you can get them anywhere. And you're just going to need a whole bunch of them. Because I want to have more volume to this necklace, I'm going to attach each of my drops with a jump ring instead of just putting the loop I make on them onto the chain. So jump rings. And then head pins. I'm using these ball head pins. I'm using the little short ones. And you can get these, I believe I bought these on Amazon, or you might be able to find them at Hobby Lobby or somewhere like that. You can certainly find them online if you want these short ones. Otherwise, just use a regular head pin and just cut it down as you're doing this. And if you'd like to, you can drop, if it's just a flat head, you can drop a little 11-0 seed bead or 8-0 seed bead down to the end so it has a nice little ball end. And that'll work really fine. So a bunch of those, all of your drops, and I don't know exactly at this point, because I'm just now designing this as I do this, exactly how many we'll need, but I will tell you that. Then we're going to be making out of these drops little loops like this, and we're going to put a jump ring on the end. So let's go ahead and gather all our stuff together and get started. Okay, to start this project, we are going to make a bunch of little dangles with our drop beads here. So what I'm going to do is, this would be considered normally the right way so that it's teardrop shape. I'm going to put them on upside down like this. So the narrow end will be towards the end of my head pin here. So I'm just going to grab one. I just think it looks better this way. If you have a regular head pin, just go ahead and put your regular head pin on. You may want to drop a little 11-0 or an 8-0 seed bead. 8-0 probably work better, depends on what fits over your head pin. Drop that on first. Put on your drop upside down. And then grab a hold of it with your flat nose pliers, and just a little bit above that bead, you're going to place the plier, just like that. And bend it all the way over, like this. And then you're going to grab your round nose pliers at the very end of that wire, and just a little ways down the plier, you're going to start to turn. Turn as far as you can, and then bring your wrist forward and just bring the plier back on the loop like this so that you can continue to turn, and just turn. And then bring your plier towards the front and close it like this. And that's what you should have. Now I'm going to make sure my loop is closed all the way by just lifting this and bringing it in and shimmying it down a little bit, just to make sure that it's closed nice and tightly. I can straighten out my loop like this, and then I'm going to grab one of my jump rings, and these are 4mm jump rings. 3 would work even better, but I'm going to see how this looks. I want more volume to this, so I'm going to attach a jump ring to each loop. So I've just opened my jump ring, and I'm just going to slide it onto that loop and then twist it closed just like I opened it. and that's my dangle. And I'm going to do that with both colors. I'm just going to make a whole bunch until basically I'm just going to, all the drops I have, I'm going to go ahead and do that too. So you do it with the dark ones and with the light ones, and just continue making those until we have a whole bunch, and we'll come back. Okay, so as you can see, I've made a whole bunch of dangles. I've made about 60 of each. This takes some time, so if you're going to do this, just sit down and decide to spend a couple hours. So I made all that I had of each color, and it doesn't have to be totally accurate, specific numbers, because you can add fewer or more to the upper portion of the necklace. So that's not really that big of a deal. So if you don't have as many as I have, or you have more than I have, that's okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot these back a little bit, and I'm going to grab my 19, or let's see, maybe I cut that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Nope, I left it. I was thinking I wanted it shorter, but I have 19 links of chain here. And I'm going to grab my bigger 6mm round jump ring, and they are already open, but I find if you open them a little bit more, it's a little easier. And then I'm going to just slide it on one end of the chain. Make sure your links on both ends are nice and closed on your chain, and then just close this. This is going to let me know where the top of my chain is, plus it'll help me organize as I start to put my links on. I'm going to try to put the links on in a specific order. In my mind's eye, I have a final result. It should turn out to look like kind of spiraled, but it may not work. But we're going to find out, because I have not done this yet. I'm just designing it. So I'm going to start with a clear link, and I'm going to open the jump ring. So you should have a jump ring on every one of your links, and I'm going to just open the jump ring, and then I'm going to put it on the very bottom link of the chain. I'm starting with clear, and then I'm just going to put that down. Now I'm going to move up into the link above the one that I just put. Actually, do I want to do that? No. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and put 2 links on either side. So as you can see, I have this link on the bottom here. I'm going to put 2 links on either side of it. I'm going to start with a dark one on this side, and then I'm going to put a light one on this side. The colors that we do and the order we put them on and where we put them on is what's going to achieve what I think will spiral around, I hope. So I'm going to open this jump ring, and I'm going to put the dark one on this side of the link. So the division of sides of the link, of course, will be determined by the previous and link on the bottom. So the upper and lower links will divide the link. So I'm going to, and also the one we just put on, don't put it on the jump ring, put it on the chain link, right there, and close it. Lay it back out so you can see it, and let me back off, because I know when I do this, I always get out of camera. So I'm going to do this, and then now you can see that I have one on this side of the link. I'm going to put one on the other side of the link, and then of course I have one in the middle. So I'm going to use a clear one on this side. Find my jump ring, open it up, and just drop it on this side of the link. And then close it. These little jump rings are not cut perfectly, so they're a little weird to close. Now, what I'm going to do is I just put, let me turn it back over. So you're going to have to keep it organized here. I have to find my bottom one and then my 2 links. So I've spread it out so that I can see exactly what's going on here. Because what you want to do is you want to put the last link that you just put on, you want to put the same color on the opposite side on the next link. So I put a clear one on. Now I'm going to turn this link so that it's sideways, and I'm going to put on a clear one on this side because my other one was on this side. So I'm going to open it, and I'm going to put it on this link. Sure I am. Okay, come on. There it goes. Now I'm going to lay it back out, make sure that I didn't cross anything weird. Now I'm turning my chain because it's cable chain, so some are up and some are down, but I'm turning it so that it's laying, the link I'm working on is laying flat against the bead mat. So I just put on a clear one. Now I'm going to put on a black one on the other side. So I'm going to pick that link up just so I can see it better and slide this on here. And you're going to have to fumble with it quite a bit to see exactly where you're at, because this is what happens when you're doing these. It's just the way it is. So I can see where I was at. Now I need to put one on this side. My jump ring is not cooperating. Come here. Okay, I finally got it. This is just going to take a little time, but hopefully the end result will be worth it. Close that. Then straighten my chain back out. Okay, so now I have a black one on this side and a white one on this side. I'm going to cross over and put a white one on this side of the chain link and a black one on this side. So let me make sure I have two links. Yes, I do. Is that how I want to do that? No, I just did the white one, so I'm going to go over here and do the white one on this side and then a black one on this side. So whichever one you just did, you want to do the opposite one. Cross over and do the opposite color. So now I'm going to pick up this chain and put it on this side. And this just might turn out to be just black and white on here. It might not do anything I think it's going to do, but okay. So I have the white one there. Now I'm going to, on the same link, put a black one on the opposite side. Of course, it wants to struggle with me no matter what I try to do. It wants to struggle with me. Okay, let me lay it back out. Now I'm going to turn it so that this next link is flat, and I'm going to put a black one, cross over and put a black one on this side because I just put a black one on that side. So now I'll put a black one on this side, then I'll put a clear one on this side, then I'll cross over, put a clear one over here, and then cross over, put a black one over here, and continue that all the way up the length of the chain, and I will be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, so I put them all on, and for the most part it did work. I'm going to try to show you up like this. So it's difficult because I can't lay this down and have it look right, and I can't really hold it in front of the camera correctly. For the most part, it spiraled really nicely. I will put this one on a neck model and show you when we're finished, but it did, and see when I lay it down you can't see anything, but it did spiral for the most part pretty nicely. It looks really pretty up. So I'm going to try to lay it down because I want to continue, but I want to be able to see which side I want to. Okay, so I have it laying down to where my black bead is obvious on this side and my white bead is obvious on that side. So what I want to do is I want to connect to this jump ring the two sides of my chain. Then I want to travel up with the white this way and the black this way, or we could do it opposite. I think we'll go ahead and, because we could do the white over here and the black over here. We'll do it that way. I just want it to kind of look like it's continuing the spiral. So I think I'll take the white and go on this side and the black and go on this side. Now that also depends on how I lay it back down again too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this jump ring and I'm going to open it. Oh, come along. And put this one on here, and I'm going to try to hold it where I can close it better than, actually I don't want to close it yet. I'm going to put this side on here. So put one side of your chain on one side of the jump ring, the other side on the other side, of course, and then close your jump ring. Of course I've got a jump ring that doesn't close properly. That's nice. This whole thing is just arguing with me. Okay, I can always switch that out later if I need to. But right here is how this looks. Now, my spiral of my clear is going up this way, so I want it to come this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of my clear beads, and on this side of the jump ring, I'm going to put like 2, maybe 3. See, let's put one here. Close that up. Get in a little closer. Bring myself down here. Keep everything organized so you can see your links as well as you possibly can. And then I'm going to put another one. I think I'll try with 2 and see what happens. I can see that little link is kind of open too. Might have to go back through and fix things up here. Put this one here. And then I can just continue up the side here with just all clear. I want to do this side all clear and this side all black. So then I can just start with my links. And when I do the other side, of course, I'll put 2 black ones on the big jump ring and go all the way up the chain with 2 on either side of every link. So now I'm going to pick up another clear. Let's see how this turns out, half clear and half black on either side. May look weird, may look good, I don't know yet, but I'm just playing here, just designing and seeing what I come up with. So there, I have one on that link. I'm just going to lay that back out, push everything aside so I can see the link I just worked on. And you can do it. It takes a second. See, I found my link now, and I can put another one on that one. It's not fun to watch me do it because it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. But when you get to doing it, you'll see what you're doing, and you'll just go from there. So I'm on that one. I need to go on the opposite side. It's easier if you turn them so you can see them. You're going to struggle with them a little bit, especially when you turn a camera on. Then you have to struggle even more When I'm off camera, I seem to do just fine, but you know, I have to struggle when I am on camera. Alright, there it is. Silly thing. Alright, put that one there and close it. And that's why I'm not staying on camera a long time doing this, because it's just going to look like a jumbled mess to you. Once you get it in your hand, it's not going to. So now I've got my white ones started here. I'm going to continue just putting them on here until I run out. And then I'm going to open my chain back up over here, find my big jump ring that I'm actually attached to on this side, and I'll put between the last links here and the new links for the new chain, I'll put 2 black ones on here and then black up the side. So go ahead and do your other side, or your white side, and then we'll do the black side and we'll come back and see what it looks like. All of this is just connecting links on links. So it's not like I have to stay on here and show you a million different times. And then I'm going to try to lay it out so you can see it really pretty, and then I'll put it on a neck model and take a picture of it so you can see it too. Because when you hold this up, it gets a really pretty spiral. I mean, it's not a perfect spiral, but it's pretty obvious spiral, and it looks really nice. And then I think having half and half is going to be really pretty too. So let me finish this up and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I have laid this out the best I can as I'm working on it so you can kind of see what it looks like. When I pick it up, it looks amazing. It spirals down here and then up into the white and the black. Really, really pretty. It just looks great. I will put it on a neck model. My neck models are black though, so I'm worried that it's not actually going to show as pretty as it really is. But this is turning out really, really neat. I really like the way that it's coming together. And I went ahead and put my 2 on of the black on this side of the bigger jump ring, and then just started putting 2 links on each, or 2 dangles on each link all the way up on both sides. And that's what I have so far, what I've been doing. And I still have quite a few to put on, so I'm just going to continue until I run out. And I don't really have the same amount of the 2 colors, so I'll probably just go as far as I can with the white one and then match it with the black side, because I have less of the white than I do the black for some reason. So we'll go ahead and continue doing that. I just wanted to show you basically what it looks like, since I was able to kind of lay it out pretty. It's really not a necklace designed to lay down on the desk. So let me get you as close as I can here. See how pretty that's coming along. It's just really, really, really pretty. Here we go. I'm going to go finish, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here it is. I laid it out as neatly as I can. It still does not look nearly as pretty as it does when it's hanging. I'm trying to figure out a way to show that. But this is what it looks like. I just went as far as I could with the amount that I had of both colors, and just made sure that they were even on the chain when I finished, and then just put 2 jump rings and a toggle clasp on the chain. And this is what it turns out. Now I realize I didn't show you in tons of detail every single thing I put on, but it's very repetitive, very easy to do. It just takes a lot of time. So if you want to make this necklace, just be prepared to sit and make a bunch of dangles, and then you have to struggle with your chain a little bit, lay it back out. Every time you put on one, you have to lay your chain back out so you can see the next link and see what side you put your previous dangle on. And so it takes time, but the end result is really, really pretty. And this is basically what I had in mind when I picked out all of these dangles. Is I wanted to make something really full and full of just a lot of dangles, and that's what I did. And with the extra jump ring, you get a lot more fullness. Now, if you were to put it directly on the chain, it would be a lot less full. So that's why I did it that way. Plus, it's easier to connect if you put jump rings on, and they flow a little nicer. Though you will see some of the jump ring showing through here and there, but that doesn't bother me. It's metal and it's pretty, so it works out fine. So this is what this looks like, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Actually, let's get a close-up. And that's what that looks like. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.